We're going to rebuild our inner cities because our African American communities are absolutely in the worst shape that they've ever been in before, ever, ever, ever. To the African American people that have to suffer in these inner cities, what do you have to lose?
That was one Donald Trump on the campaign trail trying to appeal to African Americans. Now, it didn't work. According to exit polls, he got only 8% of the black vote. He's getting sworn in on Friday, and that, of course, means an entirely new administration and, for many, new concerns for communities that President Obama had helped. Now, President Obama and his attorneys general, Eric Holder and Loretta Lynch, they made great strides when it came at least to voting rights and civil rights. Critics, they're concerned that the incoming Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, is not sympathetic to that issue or, for that matter, many others. Trump's education secretary pick, Betsy DeVos, not a fan of public schools. She spent her career financing and working to strengthen charter schools and vouchers. Depends where you feel about that issue. Then there is Ben Carson, Trump's pick to run HUD, Housing and Urban Development. Carson doesn't even agree with government policy when it comes to housing. He calls fair and affordable housing programs, and again, I'm saying this verbatim, quote, social engineering, end quote. And he's been against government intervention altogether. Here he was getting questioned by Senator Liz Warren on whether any HUD policies would benefit Trump, since Trump is, in fact, in the real estate business. Take a listen.
Can you just assure us that not $1 will go to benefit either the president-elect or his family?
It will not be my intention to do anything to benefit any American. I will manage things in a way that benefits the American people. That is going to be the goal.
All right, we can go all day on that one. I'm going to move on. But when you heard, Reverend, on the trail, hey, you people, what do you got to lose? Vote for me. What was your reaction?
Here's the thing about President-elect Trump and the African American community in general. I don't know that anyone that I know takes him seriously in this position of being concerned. I think that it is, if anything, an afterthought. But that, in a broader sense, I don't know that many people in the African American community that believe the Republican Party has any legitimate concern for the things that go on in inner city neighborhoods. And so prior to that statement, he was at his own rally, and he, if I'm not mistaken, was looking around and said, where is my African American? He was looking for an individual. That doesn't communicate well. That doesn't build a lot of collective confidence.
Are you worried for the next 4 years, and if so, about what?
I am worried. I'm worried about a president who appears to can get goaded, appears to sometimes make emotional responses. I'm certainly concerned about the picks that he has nominated thus far. Jeff Sessions won. Jeff Sessions, if I got that correctly, Senator Sessions was named after Jefferson Davis, who was a traitor. He was the president of the Confederacy. He certainly had objections to I believe it's the 14th Amendment, which allowed African Americans the right to vote, and he voiced opposition concerning that. So his track record is very, very, I'm cautiously optimistic. Now, as far as the African American people, we've always had this hate relationship with the Republican Party. I certainly am not so sure that our relationship with the Democratic Party is that healthy to begin with. So I think a lot of that non-support of Donald Trump came because of the fact, certainly some of the things that he said, but that he ran a Republican line. I'm, for one, and I say to African Americans all the time, that relationship with the Democratic Party isn't a healthy relationship. We need to reevaluate because of the support that was given. I'm not so sure the return came. So I am very concerned about our next president, but he was voted in by the people. This is democracy, and I certainly think that we need to give him a chance. But the diversity thus far that he's put up, I think that the New York Times wrote an article this morning, and the nomination that he's put up is the least I think he had out of the last 6 or 7 presidents. I think he has between African Americans, Hispanics, and women. I think there's 5 that he put up, and they're certainly on the lower level. It's consistent with how the media has portrayed him. If the media portrayed him accurately or not, I'm not so sure. But yeah, I am concerned, but he's
Yep.
our president, and we need to see.
Now, you've worn a lot of hats, Richard. You're a veteran, you're an attorney, obviously involved in the political process. On the legal front, Jeff Sessions was passed over to be a federal judge 30 years ago, in part because not just of his positions, but also some of the words allegedly he had said. Moreover, he has not been a big defender of the Voting Rights Act. In fact, he's all for states here who have suppressed votes or made it harder for people to vote, primarily in areas or communities of color. Why are you comfortable that he and this Justice Department have the best interests for the population with the least voice?
Well, here's what I would say. The president-elect deserves to have his team. And I think this country is beyond, well, we want diversity for the sake of diversity. This country at this point in time is saying, we want change, and we want radical change. And that's why Donald Trump was able to come
Before you do that,
along
though, here,
and get
and I'm not
elected.
trying to relitigate the election, but I hear words, like I remember 8 years ago, you don't have a mandate, Obama. Now, there was a Democratic House, a Democratic Senate, and he got 54% of the vote, if I remember right. Trump got 3 million less votes and counting than his opponent. He got 46% of the vote, but yet there's this perception that whatever he says should go now because he's the president. It seems, and again, I mentioned this before, the head Republican at the time said their first priority is to make sure he wasn't elected anymore. It seems that that was then and this is now, and that there should be a different standard for the incoming president that, hey, people wanted radical change, so give it to him, when less than half the country chose him.
Well, look, the electoral system is the electoral system.
I
That's
get
what we
that,
use.
but it doesn't mean he has a mandate, does it?
He's got a Republican Congress. He's the president. He's a Republican that won Pennsylvania, which hasn't been won since Reagan. Michigan, Wisconsin. I mean, these are states that went to Democrats. So I would say that there are a lot of people in this country who say we want change, we want radical change. In fact, we have organizations like Occupy Wall Street, Black Lives Matters. People are fed up. They're fed up of the talk. They want to see real change in this country. And that's across the demographics. That's blacks, that's Hispanics, and that's white. And when you said that Trump got 8% of the black vote according to exit polls, that's better than Mitt Romney. And if you look at the way Trump was saying a lot of things, and Mitt Romney was nowhere near what he said compared to what Trump and his statements.
You know more
and he still
about
got
running
8%.
campaigns than me, but I wouldn't be bragging about 8%.
Well, you know, it's for Republican, it's not so bad. I mean, Bush got around the same percentage, so it's better than zero, and it's more than it's double what Romney received.
Here's where I'm a little bit worried. Oh, I'm a lot worried about a lot of things. Richard and I know this, so I'm going to try and leave politics aside for a moment. There will be a time in the next 4 years where a nation will be scared, but also certainly communities will be marginalized. We've already seen about the idea of how he's labeled people from south of the border of us. We've already heard how he believes the people that believe in the Muslim faith, how he feels about them. If there is, what we talked about at the top of the show, another high-profile police shooting where communities of color were up in arms and everything else, I'm worried about the temperature and the language from the most important job in the world, that it won't tamp down those flames, but it'll pour gas on them.
I think it's a legitimate concern. My greater concern is accountability. My hope is that this president is held accountable. My hope is that this president doesn't enter into the presidency and continue through it with the confidence that he can say and do anything that he wants without any accountability coming from anywhere. If there is no accountability for this president, then I think there's a lot of merit to your fear. What could happen? If, however, he is held to similar standards, at least of the past president, then perhaps we'll hear less and less of the inflammatory language.
And I'll only tell you from my world, that's an open question right now, how that's going to work. But we will find out very soon. Coming up next, we take a look at some of the deep racial disparities when it comes to households across this country. That and more after this.